One day, I'm going to do it. One day, I'm going to work up enough nerve. One day, I'm going to leave this job and pursue my dream full time. One day, if I just have enough money. One day, if I just get rid of this fear. So I'm going to talk to you about some extra strategies today. I would not be on this stage today, though, if it was not for the encounter, the divine timing, the appointment that was necessary for me, and that was meeting Les Brown in 2002. I had just given up my crown. I was Miss America United States in 2000, 2001, and Les and I had the opportunity to speak at an event. We never got a chance to meet. I was first. I had to get off and go somewhere else, and then Les spoke. But Les was there when I was speaking, and I did not know it. And so we were on a TD Jakes cruise in 2003, and we had a chance encounter. And I wouldn't say chance, it was a divine appointment. And he said, I remember you. You know, Les got a good memory. So y'all, anyone who's ever met Les knows he's got a great memory. He said, I remember you. He said, you were speaking at an event and you were Miss. I said, yeah, I was. And so we just hit it off. We were confined to a cruise for 5 days, and we were inseparable. And that's where Ona was on that cruise as well, too. We had a blast. And after that, I actually totally invested in getting my career, my life, my development, and my speaking career to a place where I am today. We've got a couple of other Les Brown speakers, or what we call platinum speakers. We were some of the original ones when Les first started. I know Johnny Wimbury is in the room. With Johnny, I'm giving you a shout out, Johnny. Johnny's over there, Johnny Wimbury. You got Dwight Pledger is here. I know Alan is here. A couple of other of us who were back in the day. So we appreciate the training, but say lifelong learner. Lifelong learner. Just because we were doing it back in the day and we're doing it now, we're doing it very successfully, it is my privilege and my honor to be here and to be a part of and to learn from each of you. And I have had a blast. So yeah, I was one of the women that was on fire too. I was so busy working with you guys that they were texting me, and I'm like, I'm in here trying to learn. I'm excited. I'm having a great time, and I'm meeting wonderful people. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about some strategies on how you can make your exit and launch your speaking career. I do this full time. I've been doing it really all of my life, talking to corporations, talking to CEOs and their executive teams. I am a 30-year HR expert. I talk about the changing global workforce and how it's multicultural, multi-generational, multi-ethnic, hyper-connected, virtual, and it's more diverse and global. So what are you going to do about it? How are you going to build your leaders? How are you going to build an inclusive, high-performing, innovative, and a inspiring workplace culture? Now you hear things are changing all the time, and so I talk a lot about change management as well. So that's what I do full time, but I am also a master of reinvention. How many of you have ever been through changes in your life and you've had to reinvent yourself? And I'm going to talk to you about how I realized I had to reinvent myself after working 30 years for the man. Y'all know who the man is, right? Working 30 years for the man. And so I was very successful at it. I actually was making well over 6 figures as a senior executive reporting to the CEO of a major corporation. I have worked as a senior executive in 4 Fortune 500 companies over my 30-year career in financial services, retail banking, retail sales, utility, manufacturing, and then in the nonprofit sector. So I've worked all across different industries, which allows me to now universally be able to relate to senior executives and leaders. I speak their language. Even though I don't look like them and I'm usually the only one in the room, I know how to speak that language that allows me in the room at the door. And I'm not just invisible, I'm visible, I'm vocal, and I'm stating my value, right? Now, there is a reason why I have a PhD. Because it wasn't always that I was visible. It wasn't always that I was vocal, and it wasn't always that I felt like I was getting my value. I was going through those days of being marginalized. I was going through those days of feeling the oppression. I was going through those days of being at the table but not being acknowledged. I was going through those days of walking around the corporation, and I would be with people who didn't look like me, who were my white male counterparts, and they would see us, and I was his boss. I had a team of 23 people. He was one of my mid-manager supervisors. I was the vice president. When I would walk into the room, they immediately assumed that I was his secretary. There have been times when I've been working for people that I trained and then they became my boss. There are times when I was a 5 looking at I was what they call a high potential, being moved up the corporate ladder. My boss left, who was a VP. He had me on a trajectory. And then when he left, they put someone else in there who had bigger breasts, who had a bigger butt, and someone else who didn't look like me. She had green eyes, she had blonde hair, and she was with the other guys that I was not. You know what I mean? So I had an opportunity to, as I was working for her, this was a marginalization for me because I was a 5, rated that for the last 3 years, and when she came on board in a matter of 6 years, she minimized me all the way down to a 3, barely making that. What I kept being told is, if you just take one more class, we'll move you up. If you just get this certification, we'll move you up. If you just go and get a degree, I already had a degree, I had more than they did. But they told me, if you just go and get this other degree, if you just take this and if you just do that, this carrot kept moving every time I would take it. So the reason why I went and got my PhD, not just because I wanted my daughter to be proud of me and I thought that would be a great example, and it was. Not just that I wanted my parents to be proud of me and to be able to show them that, yes, I could do it. That was nice. But the reason why I went and got my PhD was so that I could take away the excuses of everyone that kept saying, you need to do this, and that. And then when I got my PhD, felt powerful, felt awesome. I earned it. I worked hard for it. I did it as a single mother. I did it in 4 years, as my commitment was to get it done before I was 40 years old. Did it working a demanding job, was traveling all over the world, got it done, and only to be told, you're overqualified. Only to be told we can't afford you. Only to be told that we don't think you're going to stay. So all of these excuses, I'm going somewhere, is that all of these were things that were actually building up my faith, but they were also strengthening me. They were letting me know what I was going to have to continue to deal with. So 4 years ago, I walked into my boss's office and I gave my resignation. I want you to kind of go with me on a journey. For 15 years prior to that, I would go away every December. My daughter's here and she can tell you. I would go away at the end of the year around Christmas time. I would celebrate it with my family, whether it was Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. But that night I was flying out somewhere. For 7 days, I would go somewhere. I would use my extra money that I would save up. I would go to somewhere in Bermuda. I'd go to Boca Raton. I'd go to Barbados. I love to go to Paradise Island. I'd go to Aruba, just all these beautiful places. And I would just imagine what my life would be if. How many of you do that? One day if, that was that one day. And I would go away. I did this for nearly 15 years. And as she grew up, she always knew, I'm going to spend time with you, but I need to go away for me and for you. Trust me. I would go away, I would rest, I would relax, I would reflect, I would reprioritize and set goals. I would even recognize and celebrate my successes. When I got on about 2012, I got to my last trip, and I remember writing down my goals. Every year I would set goals. And I got a word from God that says, now is the time. How many of you know timing is everything? Timing is everything. I had been wanting to leave for a long time, but I felt stuck. I felt afraid. I was a single parent. Where am I going to get this money? I'm already making well over 6 figures, $250,000. That looked pretty good. Had steady benefits. What am I going to do? So I was always afraid, and I would always talk myself out of it. I would self-sabotage. How many of you are self-sabotaging? I want you to stop doing that. But it's an important thing to be in the right time, at the right place, hearing from the right source and the right voice. This time, I heard that it was time to go. So I started working my exit strategy. See, a lot of times when we hear something and we say, I want to go do that, we immediately jump out there. Yes. And oftentimes if you jump out there and you haven't planned, you're going to fail. Because what Les used to always tell me is that when you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. The other thing Les used to tell me this, and he told me this for years, and I would hear it, but I wasn't hearing it. He said, Shirley, jump first and grow your wings on the way down. You've been with me now for 5 years. We traveled all around the world. We spoke on world stages. Johnny was with us on, and we were actually reminiscing on some of our trips. We were in Barbados, and we were speaking at huge conferences. We spoke at MegaFest 2004 together. I mean, Les had us all over the world. He's like, Shirley, it's time for you to jump and grow your wings on the way down. That meant take a risk. I've invested in you. You already got what it takes. You already got a PhD. You got a master's degree. How much more do you want? And yet I was still afraid. Les used to say this to me in 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007 would all go by and I still would not do it. But I never forgot it. And it kept tormenting me. So I finally was away that year. I came into my boss's office after I had heard that word that it was time for me to step away. But I didn't do it immediately. I began to work my exit strategy. He said, it's time. So I started writing down, what is it that I want my life to now look like 3 years from now? What do I need to put in place? So I started first reassessing my why. How many of you in here know your why? Not a lot of hands went up. I asked that question all over the world because when I talk to leaders and executives, I know they're making a lot of money. I know they're making a lot of decisions, but are you doing what excites you? Is it something that makes your skirt fly up? And men, is it something that makes your ties turn around? Is it something that excites you? And most of the time, less than 10% of the hands in the room go up. People don't know their why. They don't understand their purpose. And someone said it on the stage yesterday, is that the richest place in America is where? In the world, is in the cemetery, because most of us take it there. I heard Les say that most people die at age 30, but they don't get buried until age 85. Because they go through life not understanding